Collective. I'm going to be doing a different spread today. We are going to look into the energy of boundaries and setting boundaries. I have several friends who are reading the book Boundaries, and I can't remember who it's from, but it's probably in the description box. If not, maybe I'll throw it in there. But Boundaries is a great book, and it's like I got a pencil on it, and I think it's red and white and black. And it was one of the first books I've ever read in my self-healing journey, and I think it's a really important book if you've never read it. So we're going to talk about boundaries. I have several friends right now who are learning how to set boundaries, so I figured that doing a reading would be a really great resource for them as they are doing this journey. So here we go. So I'm going to do 8 cards, and we are looking at boundary. So I'm only accepting the highest and best truth or the highest and best good, bringing forth the most accurate answers. This is a general reading and will not resonate with everybody. This is a specific reading for those people who need to know about boundaries and what to do about them. This message is timeless, so it doesn't matter when you're brought to this channel, this reading, there's something in it for you. I want to thank the people who've already subscribed and supported me. And if you're new here, thank you for checking out my channel. And if you like this reading or entertained in some way, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. This way you get notified as soon as I post something new. So we're going to do an 8-card spread. Let's check this out. And we want to know about boundaries. How do we set them? What do we do? So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we're asking about this card right here, which is the Ace of Swords, and that is about drawing a line in the sand or in the air, or all barriers around it, creating any barrier anywhere. This sword is your most powerful ally when you wield it with fearless energy. So here we go. We're going to look at this fearless energy of creating boundaries, and creating boundaries is extremely important. If you create a boundary with someone and they do not respect your boundary, that is a red flag. Okay, so if you have a boundary in a relationship and you're like, hey, this is my boundary, and that person continually steps over that boundary, that is a relationship that you should look very cautiously on. You know what I mean? It's one that you may not want to advance in because you're like, I don't know, right? And vice versa. If somebody draws a boundary for you, be respectful and respect their boundaries. So the first card here is what helps me become more self-aware. Well, to take a look at the things that you feel protective about. It could be around money. It could be around, like, if you're losing your self-control somewhere, it might be that that's a problem with a boundary. If somebody's crossing a boundary and it makes you get really angry and you just lose yourself. Like, what do you feel like you conserve yourself over, or you need to self-protect over? So anything that you feel protective over. So for instance, when I had my children, I was very protective over my children because of my abusive childhood. So I was extremely protective. Like, I wouldn't let anybody watch my children. I watched my children all the time. And I was very, very particular about everything. So that to me says, since I'm really protective over my children, that is a boundary for me, is that you don't, like, for instance, when my baby was born, everybody wanted to hold her. But I was like, their immune system, it takes like 2 months for a baby's immune system to fully get all the antibodies that they need, because they have mom's antibodies when they're born, but for them to start producing their own takes like 2 months, and everybody wants to hold your baby in the beginning, and I'm like, get off my baby. You know what I mean? Like, they want to kiss your baby and hold your baby, and I'm like, my baby doesn't have their full immune system just yet. They have my immune system. Like, so I was really kind of very protective over that. So that was a boundary. Like, if you wanted to take my baby from me, I would become like a lioness. You know what I mean? I would become like a lion. Like, no, this is my baby and you're not going to mess with my baby, right? What boundaries do you feel hard to set? Are you ready? All right, so the 8 of Pentacles is you feel hard to set boundaries when it comes to perfectionism. or misdirected activities. Something that is long-term, something that you've persevered over, something that you feel like you've invested yourself in, anything that could be really repetitive towards, like, you know, so that's where you start to struggle to set boundaries. So like, let's do it this way. So somebody gets away with something once, you allow them to do it again, and then you allow them to do it again. And once it's become really repetitive, then it gets difficult for you to set a boundary. Well, they've done this so many times, I can't just go back and like set a boundary. Yes, you can. You know what I mean? And it's like something that maybe you feel like, well, maybe I'm just too much a perfectionist. Like I shouldn't set a boundary because I'm a perfectionist and I expect things like, you know, people probably thought that I was very, very protective over my children. Like maybe they thought I was a little too protective over my children. But if they had known the life that I had growing up, they would have been more protective over their kids too. Like it happened that way because of what I knew could happen. And so I didn't want that happening to my children. So they may have thought, oh, she's being a bit pretentious or perfectionistic in that area. Like she's got to loosen up a little bit and let her kids have a little bit of fun. And I do with parental vision. You know what I mean? Like I do. So for me, it's like you might feel like, well, if I set that boundary, people are going to think that I'm being too rigid. I'm being too perfectionistic. And you need to, like, there's something there. We need to work on judgment then. Who cares what people think? What helps me stop this? So it's about relaxing a little bit, on yourself, not on what you need and what you need to set a boundary for. It's not specifically that. It's not like, oh, relax, like let people walk over your boundaries. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying relax in your own energy. Being so hard on yourself over it. Like if you want something, you should be able to ask for it. If you need something in life, you should be able to set a boundary and say, this is what I need. If we want to have a successful relationship together, and it could be a friend, it could be a husband, it could be, marriage, whatever. If you want to have a successful relationship with somebody, there's got to be boundaries. Otherwise, you're going to feel like taken advantage of, they're going to feel like taken advantage of, and it's just not a pretty place. So let them have their boundaries, you have your boundaries, and as long as everybody protects those boundaries and they do what they're supposed to do, relationships are a lot easier, okay? So, it's so funny. You'll see like your family, for instance, they meet a new person and they are so careful about that person's boundaries. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we don't want to upset that person, or we want to make sure that they have everything, you know, perfect and whatever. But then like, because they know you and your family, they're just like, oh, yeah, don't worry about that boundary. You know, don't worry about that, you know? And they just walk all over your boundaries. And I'm not saying that's in every family. I'm just giving you an example. It's like the closer you are with people, the more that they feel like that your boundary doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And it's like, then they feel like when you do set a boundary that they're like tiptoeing around you. Well, now I'm tiptoeing around you. Well, you should be, because you tiptoe around people that you respect. Why wouldn't you tiptoe around me? I tiptoe around you because I want to make sure that I am honoring and valuing your boundaries. But you just come trudging or stomping through with your muddy boots all over my boundaries as if they don't mean anything. You know, like that energy. Okay, anyway. What should people not ask of me? Ooh. So what they should not ask of you is the things that you hold dear to your heart. They should not ask you to get rid of one of your boundaries, because those boundaries are the reason that are keeping you from having so much anxiety, having so much fear. So if you're holding secrets within your heart, that's because there's a lot of anxiety and fear around that. So things that you like for instance, my mom used to read my diary when I was little. So that is a boundary. Like, don't ask me to give you up all my secrets that are in my diary. I get to have my personal relationship with God that nobody has to be involved. My husband gets to have his personal relationship with his angels and spirit guides and God, and I don't have anything to do with that, and my kids too. You know, I got my daughter a journal that she has to actually speak into in order for it to open, so nobody will be able to see her secrets. You know what I mean? Unless she decides that she wants to give up some of her secrets. These aren't the type of secrets that are like somebody cheated on someone or something like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about these personal things that you feel in your heart that's between you and God. You should never have to give that up to anybody unless you want to, unless you feel like it's necessary. So basically anything that causes you fear, anxiety, worry, depression, you know, any kind of deep-seated inner turmoil, you don't have to give that up to anybody unless you want to. You know what I mean? If it's going to create a lot of fear, then you can hold on to that if you want to. You can say, you know what, these are my secrets. This is how I feel about things. I don't necessarily have to tell anyone about it. I can go to my priest and talk to my priest about it. I can go to my counselor and talk to my counselor about it. I don't necessarily have to talk to anybody else about it. And the other thing that I'm hearing about that is sometimes the things between you and God, those are like passing energies. So I don't know how to explain this, but I'm feeling like they're saying that something that might bother you today may not bother you tomorrow. So when you have a conversation with God about these things that are bothering you, you may just be able to get it out and release it, and then it's not really a problem. So why would you go and make a big deal about something to someone when 10 minutes from then it's not going to even be a problem, you know? Or like a month ago, like what bothered me a month ago doesn't bother me today. So why would I even bring that up to someone if it's not bothering me anymore? So it's kind of like that. Like you don't have to tell everybody every single thing because that energy may just pass. And then it's not even a problem. So why even bring it up, you know, in the relationship? So I don't know. That's interesting. They put it that way. Okay, so the next one is, what do I have the right to ask for? Ooh. You have the right to ask for the truth. There you go. All right? You have the right to express yourself. You have the right to convey your ideas. You have the right to talk and not have to do like specific action. Let me go ahead and pull on that real quick. So what are we talking about? What's the truth about? Like what does that mean? You have the right to ask for more information. You have the right for people to help you. Those are your rights. But let's see, asking for. Ooh, that's it. That's what they said. Okay, cool. So you have the right to ask about anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, anything that makes you feel conflicted. If somebody crosses over a boundary, you have the right to say something about that. You have the right to disagree. You have the right to that communication, to the divinely inspired communication of a soul contract. So there you go. You have the right to teach people through your words and through your communication about your boundaries. Okay? All right. Why is it okay to protect my time and energy? All right. So the 9 of Wands is about if you don't take the time to protect your time and energy, nobody else will. Nobody else is going to be as resilient as you. Nobody's going to have as much grit as you do over yourself. Nobody, you know, this is you taking a last stand because of exhaustion and fatigue and just being totally unsure about other people's motives. So that's why it's okay for you to protect your time and energy, because nobody else will do it. You have to do it for yourself. You need to be your own advocate. All right, who is supportive of me? The King of Cups is supportive of you. We saw that in the last reading, by the way. So the King of Cups is, there's some masculine energy in your life that actually supports you. Now, they may not give you all of the love, and they may be the ones walking over your boundaries, but the more you speak your truth and the more you stand up for what you need, this person will follow suit. So let's pull some more cards on that really quickly. Oh, this is the last one. Tell me about this King of Cups. Because it seems to me like this is the same person that this person is having a problem with. The person that they have to set the boundaries with. So maybe they're saying the person in your life that you have a relationship with is supportive of you learning how to create your own boundaries. Because if you don't have anybody to practice with, then what do? You know what I mean? So you need someone to practice with. So you're practicing with the King of Cups. And we know the King of Cups doesn't give all of the love. All right. So the King of Cups is transitioning, is moving towards getting out of the fog, out of the illusion. This is exactly what we were talking about in the last reading, which is going to be at the end of this video. I'll have a link to that one. And that is the 22222 reading, right? So we have, so the King of Cups is someone who's moving towards you through an illusion. They have to get through the illusion to get to the relationship, okay? There's a lot of illusion energy around that King of Cups, and that's why they only give you half a cup of love. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that. But you need to set your boundaries, be clear about what your boundaries are. And I was talking to a friend of mine who was struggling in their relationship, and I was saying divorce doesn't always have to be the ultimate ending. You know, it could just be like, we're in a relationship together. I want to be in a relationship with you. I would like to be successful. We are not being successful right now. And so I looked at what I believe a successful relationship looks like, and it has these characteristics. Which characteristics do we want to adopt, and which characteristics do we not want to? Can we look at our lives as well and see the things that we're not doing as well, and we can decide what do we want to keep doing and what do we not want to keep doing. It's like that's the logical way of looking at a relationship. Okay, we get all emotional, we get all like hell bent out of shape, and we get all fiery and stuff. But the reality of it is, if you just sit down with each other in a logical way, like we're in a relationship, we have money together, we have kids together, we have a life together, and I love you. You know what I mean? And so us breaking up is not part of the equation, and since it's not part of the equation, what do you want to do about our relationship? How do you want this relationship to change? And I'm going to tell you the number one thing is boundaries. In order for me to have this type of love with you, I need to have this. You know, these are the things that I need to see and have. And if you don't know what a healthy relationship looks like, look it up on YouTube. Look up like the 6 ways to have a healthy relationship. You know, the 6 keys to blah, 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 whatever. Look it up. And decide and go through and write down the things that you feel like, you know what, yeah, that's important to me. Nah, that's not really important to me. Oh, that's important to me. I need that. You know what I mean? So, what is the first boundary I must set? Anything that makes you happy. If it makes you happy, then draw a boundary. You know, if it's going towards your happiness, then draw a boundary. I'm going to ask a question really quickly. That happiness is the ultimate happiness. I mean, I know that there's other cards that have happiness, but this is like for real happiness. This is like manifested happiness. It's amazing. The 9 of Cups is a really great card. It's being satisfied and feeling emotionally stable. Like, what would make you feel emotionally stable in your relationship if this was happening? If this was happening, I would feel like we have the best relationship ever. Like, you tell your person that you're with in a relationship, you say, I don't want to be with anybody else. I want to be with you. And it's not about me blaming you for anything. That's not what we're doing right here. It's like, let's look at the facts of our relationship, and let's be honest. Are we being successful in this area? You know, are we being nice to each other? Are we keeping the romance alive? Are we, you know, those types of things. And you have to like ask those questions. Are we being supportive of each other? And what does support look like? You know, because one person may have a logical mindset and think that support is buying you things. And the other person may have an emotional mindset and think that, wow, she never touches me. She never kisses me. She never wants to spend time with me. They don't love me. And then they're like, well, what are you talking about? I bought you this house, I bought you this, and I bought you this. And they're like, wait a minute. That's not what spells love to me. Well, what does spell love to you? Okay, I want to clarify this. What do we need to set the first boundary? What does that mean? Tell us more. Anything that makes you happy. You know, there it is again. Harmony in your relationship. Anything that makes you go, you know what, that is a good marriage, or that is a good relationship, or they are amazing together. Well, what makes them so amazing together? You know what I mean? It's going towards your anything that makes you feel fulfilled, makes you feel like your cups are overflowing, makes you feel like that energy inside of your body where it feels like you're on a roller coaster, you know, like that. And understand that everything is a karmic soul contract. All of these people that you're with, you're supposed to be with that person so you can learn these things. And if they will not do your boundaries, if they step over your boundaries, that is not your person. And you're just going to have to be like, you know what? Sucks. But the red flags are everywhere when it comes to boundaries. Like you step over my boundaries all the time. You call me names. You say bad things about all the things that I do, all of, you know, whatever. You know, you blame me for stuff. You throw me under the bus. I mean, that is not a relationship, okay? So that's what they're showing me. You got to look at all the things that are devil energy inside of your life, all of the things that are limiting yourself, your addictions. Why do you drink so much? You know, is it because that you don't really want to hear your spouse talking? You know, why, you know, what's going on with your sexual life? Like, is there things that are keeping you from having that type of relationship with someone? You know, it's about exploring the darkness, the dark thoughts. Explore it. Don't be afraid of it. Explore it and be like, you know, I need to look at this. And, you know, I have a lot of problems with my self-worth, and it's because the person I'm with and I've been with forever has never told me I am beautiful, you know, have never told me that they think I'm attractive, right? It could be something like that. It could be the person I am with, I see them looking at other people, you know, I see them being more interested in others than they're interested in me. And that's a problem. You know, maybe you got to look at the things that really, really hurt you. Maybe it sounds like this. My person values other people's opinions over mine, and we're together. Like they talk about our stuff with everybody, and then they already make the decision before they come to me. And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, aren't we together? You know, things like that. So it's drawing the boundaries and saying, look, in our relationship, you don't talk about our relationship to other people. You talk about our relationship to me. Maybe you allow them to have one good friend, but not a family member, that they can talk about what they want to, all of their, you know, bounce their ideas off this person, whatever. You can say that's okay, but not a family member, because family members will always take the person's side. You know, like I never talked about my husband with my family because I noticed every time I did, they were like, good, leave him. And I'm like, but that's not the answer I came for. You know what I mean? I wanted to know, how can I have a better relationship with my husband? And you're just basically want me to leave him. You know what I mean? And so you just got to be real careful. All right, guys. So I hope that you like this reading or entertained in some way. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And on the screen is suggested videos. I will see you soon. Bye.